What is up? Taking a look at Selesnya Auras in Explorer, which has received some new upgrades. Did really well, coming second in Pro Tour Philadelphia and Pioneer. Obviously, Explorer deck isn't identical, but there are a lot of similarities. Glade Cover Scout, the 1/1 with Hexproof for 1. And also Alpha Authority, which is 1 and a green enchanted creature gains Hexproof. That's the main part about it. It has some other text on there as well, but those two cards are missing. So Alpha Authority, an important card for your Light Pause toolbox. And then Glade Cover Scout, obviously the best one-drop in the deck, effectively. Which maybe we'll get in some Explorer Anthology down the line. Let's have a look at how the deck plays in Explorer. I'll go through the cards, and then we will hop into some ranked matches. The new pickup from Phyrexia for the deck is Skrelv, Defector Might. White for a 1/1 legendary artifact creature. Toxic 1, can't block, and then the important bit here, and the reason why we're playing it, Phyrexian white tap, choose a colour, another target creature you control against Toxic 1, and hexproof from that colour until end of turn, and it can't be blocked by creatures of that colour. Using it for that Mother of Runes style effect lets you kind of play this on 1 and then have protection for your 2-drop, because as I say, you don't have Glade Cover Scout, none of your creatures actually have proper hexproof. The other 1-drop we're playing is Generous Visitor. Green for a 1/1, whenever you cast an enchantment spell, put a +1/+1 counter target creature. Pumps itself, can pump other things, can pump your cartouche tokens, is a solid threat by itself, but also you can kind of go wide with it. Generous Visitor, quite good, but fragile at that 1-drop slot. Again, Glade Cover Scout, where are you, please? Wizards, get on that. The other shout out to us not having Glade Cover Scout is Adanto Vanguard. We've got a couple of copies here in the main deck, and then a couple more copies in the sideboard, which we'll get to in a moment. As long as it's attacking, it gets +2/+0, and then pay full life gains indestructible. Just a threat that you can play, and then it kind of has self-inbuilt protection. Though obviously paying full life is a pretty big cost. Against control decks, against black-red, against other mid-range strategies, it is great. Engine cards for the deck, though, we have Light Pause, Emperor's Voice, and Shram, Senior Edificer. So, Shram, very simple, 1 and a white for a 2/2. Whenever you cast an aura, equipment, or vehicle spell, draw a card. And then Light Pause, 1 and a white, 2/2. Whenever an aura enters the battlefield under your control, if you cast it, you may search your library for an aura card with mana value less than or equal to that aura with a different name than each aura you control, and put that card onto the battlefield attached to Light Pause, Emperor's Voice. There's a lot of text there. Sequencing is really important with Light Pause. Because it's an enter the battlefield trigger and not a cast trigger, you can't get a copy of like the enchantment you're playing. So for example, if you have an Ethereal Armor in your hand, but you want to go and tutor for an Ethereal Armor from your deck, you have to play a different 1-mana enchantment first, go get an Ethereal Armor, put it onto Light Pause, and then you can play the other Ethereal Armor. And then that'll let you then search for something else that you haven't got already. The Light Pause toolbox is one of the reasons why the deck is so powerful. Let's go through the enchantments, starting at the top here at the 1-drop slot. Cartouche of Solidarity. White, enchant target creature you control. When it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 warrior token with vigilance. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and first strike. Creating extra tokens is really important. Again, with something like Generous Visitor, you get to go wide, start putting counters on the tokens. It protects you from edict effects like Liliana or Trial of Ambition. Ethereal Armor is maybe the most powerful aura. White, enchant creature gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control and first strike. Very simple, just adds a ton of power to the board. This is the most important card when you're sequencing with Light Pause, because you want to get as many copies of it and search for as many copies of it as possible. We have Sentinel's Eyes, which enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and vigilance, and then escape for white, so you can recast it from your graveyard, which is pretty nice. Some notable things here with Skrelv, for example, lets you attack with Skrelv and then still use it for protection, which is a pretty nice synergy for the new version of the deck with Skrelv. Then we have some toolbox pieces, so Kaya's Ghost Form and Hammerhand. Ghost Form, in this case, black enchanted creature you control. When enchanted permanent dies or is put into exile, return it to the battlefield under your control. Generally, you're using it with Light Pause, you're going to tutor it up and then attach it with the Light Pause, so that when they finally remove it, it does come straight back again. Really handy. Obviously, both of these are off-color, but you can cast them with Mana Confluence, but the primary thing you're going to do is tutor them up with Light Pause. Hammerhand's another interesting one. Red enchant creature. When it enters the battlefield, target creature can't block this turn. Okay, nice, but the most important thing is enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has haste, and then the Light Pause that you play that turn has haste, which is really busted. Audacity is a fairly recent addition to the deck as well, from Brothers War. Green, enchant creature gets +2/+0 and trample, kind of like that Rancor style effect, because obviously it's not coming back like Rancor, but the trample is super important. And then when it's put into a graveyard for the battlefield, you draw a card, which is really nice, because again, we don't have that many hexproof threats. Some of them will die to removal. At 2, so we've got All That Glitters, which is basically another copy of Ethereal Armor. We've bumped the number up to 4 here. 1 and a white enchant creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. So hey, if you had some artifacts around, oh hey, nice synergy with Skrelv. That also counts. It's basically a worse copy of Ethereal Armor, but does let you tutor for 2-drop enchantments with Light Pause, which is quite handy. And also, if you've got Ethereal Armor in play already, you can then go tutor for all the glitters if you play one of the other 2-mana enchantments. Speaking of which, there are a couple more. We've got Rune of Sustenance, 1 and a white enchant permanent. ETB, draw a card, kind of nice, but the important thing here is that it gives the creature lifelink. Ways to tutor up lifelink versus aggro decks, super important. Excellent, you get to draw cards as well. And the very last aura in the main deck is Warbriar Blessing. It's a removal spell you can tutor for with Light Cause. When it enters the battlefield, enchanted creatures fights up to 1 creature you don't control. It gets +1/+2 as well, which protects the back half, because obviously it does take damage, but is a tutorable removal spell, which is super, super nice. Other things, we are a Gigantha deck. We've not got any double colored mana symbols. We'll take a look at the mana base here. We've got 3 copies of Mana Confluence, the 4 Temple Gardens, 4 Radiance of Urge Thicket, which is a really nice pickup for the deck, 4 copies of Branch Cloth Pathway, a single Forest, a single Plains, a Boseiju, a Django, kind of one of each of these. Going into the sideboard, obviously we do have Gigantha. It's an important card in the deck. Without the hexproof stuff, it is easier for your opponent to just kind of try and kill your creatures. You have Skrelv to help protect them, but if the games go long, you can grab Gigantha. Other cards here, Portable Hole, early removal versus aggro, or something like green, where you want interaction for their Llanowar War Elves and Havens. 2 more copies of Danto Vanguard versus control and mid-range decks. We've got 2 copies of Hushbringer, which is an interesting one, versus things like Enigmatic Incarnation or other Fires decks. 1 and a white, 1/2 flying lifelink creatures enter the battlefield or dying doesn't cause ability to trigger. The other thing you can do here is bring it in versus red. Because it has lifelink, you can then start suiting it up. It's a little bit more fragile, admittedly, but it's something you could try. 2 copies of Rest in Peace, of course, versus graveyard decks. And then we've got extra copies of Rune of Sustenance, again, versus aggro, where you want to get that lifelink on. And also Warbriar Blessing, when you need removal. Last things here, 2 copies of Extraction Specialist. Victoria's Light Pause, because of Danto Vanguard, your kind of like best cards versus control and mid-range. And then an extra copy of Boseiju for primarily either with decks like Fires, so you've got loads of enchantments you want to get rid of, or alternatively something like Temporary Lockdown, which of course picks up your whole board. A really nice answer to that as well. So playing an additional Boseiju in the sideboard. Alright, let's hop into some Reds matches. If you're not already, please do subscribe to the channel, I really appreciate it. I've been dropping the Shadows of Innistrad Remastered set review videos. There'll be one out today as well, but I wanted to still have some gameplay up on the channel, and obviously when the set comes out next week, I'll be making a ton of videos with that as well. But for now, let's hop into some ranked. Alright, here we go. First match with Auras. I've not had a chance to play a ton, so we're still kind of sat towards the bottom of plat. No lands here, we're going to put this away. The qualifiers in April actually are Explorer on Arena, and so I might grind a bunch of ranked once we get Shadows of Innistrad Remastered cards. This looks fine, we'll put a Skrelv back, I think. And looks a little bit awkward, obviously with like another creature, but if we have to, we will shoot up the Skrelv. It is almost tempting to put all the glitters back, keep a Skrelv around in case they're playing removal. Feels pretty bad if they're not. I think actually we would rather just have an extra kind of creature. I'll fast forward through this if my opponent is taking forever and ever. Alright, mulligan decision made, not too bad. Here's a Skrelv. Our hand's not super strong. We would like to draw another creature so we don't end up enchanting onto the Skrelv, but if we have to, it's a tough situation. If they're on green, we're fine to just play our hands out. I feel a little worse now, having played the put the other Orglet at the bottom because they won't have a good answer for the Skrelv. I'm planning to attack here. I would love for them to block our plan is to make Stram and then start drawing cards. Try and build as much power and toughness as possible. They're in the tank about it. Alright, well, we got our poison on. Yeah, Stram is a pretty ideal draw. That or Light Pause are what we're really looking for. And now we can, when we cast our Audacity, when we cast our All Glitters, start drawing cards. Of course, I've kind of presumed from the forest start that they're playing mono green. They could be on something like Elves, where they have maybe like Blooming Marsh and Fatal Push, but it looks like they're just on standard green stuff. But a fairly slow hand. Double Elvish Mystic, but no like Haven, no 2-drop Accelerant. They're tanking. I feel like they have a Boseiju, is what I actually feel like, given they've not played anything out here. I think that if you want to do that, you want to do it on my turn anyway, not now. But we'll see. Alright, here we go. Okay, so we use Sentinel's Eyes as well. I'm gonna lead things off with Audacity. I'm going to put that on SRAM. I want to see if I draw a land here. The important thing. If not, we will make Sentinels nice. Audacity also makes it pretty easy. The Boseiju is actually super important if they take off like Trample or remove some power so they can trade. The Ethereal Armor is the best possible draw pretty much, but hey. They do be thinking about it. It means, because our life cycle's not really in a huge amount of danger here, it probably just means that I activate Skrelv on SRAM before attacking, rather than just attacking into the Ambush Mystics. Just in case, if they have the Boseiju for the Audacity, they can't do that and while blocking and then ambush it. Because the one thing, because Skrelv is hexproof and not protection, obviously it does give can't be blocked by creatures that color, but it doesn't really work mid-combat. That's taking forever and ever. I'm going to activate here. Oh, I don't want to activate. I don't want to give pro green. Let's cancel that. We'll attack, and if they have the Boseiju, which it seems like they do, because they're still kind of holding priority, then, yeah. If they trade off their double Elvish Mystic for it, I'm pretty happy, though. We still have the Skrelv in play. We've got more auras in hand now. I mostly just wish that they would not take so long. Yeah, the one thing about the Audacity, as I mentioned, is that if we do give SRAM pro green with Skrelv, well, hexproof from green. I wonder if does that work differently? Interesting. With protection, the aura would fall off. I'm actually not 100% sure. We might have to limit test that. They're back to Lincoln. Okay, no. There's the Nycthos into Cavalier. That is fair enough, I think. We have pretty good retaliation. They're on 13. We're going to force them to make some pretty tough blocks. I think they did hit a land. No, they didn't. Okay, that is a nice. That is nice for us. Let's see. Okay, we did hit a land, which is great. Let's start off with Ethereal Armor again. That's the one drop. So we have Sentinel's Eyes, but we don't have anything to use with the Screen Mana, so I'll just use the All Those Glitters. That glitters. Kind of be as mana efficient as possible. Draw another Skrelv. So this puts them to... Okay, they're just going to scoop it up. Fair enough, fair enough. I'll go to game 2. Green is one of the best matchups for auras. One of the reasons to play the deck is that green has no interaction for you, and it's a popular deck in the format. So when everyone's like, oh, green's the best deck, let's play that, auras is basically at its best. In terms of what we want, see, these portable holes to answer Elvish Mystic and Wolfwalker Haven just to slow our opponent down are quite important. They don't have lots of removal. The Hushbringers are effective versus only Cavalier, not really worth it. And similarly, like the cards that we would bring in versus control midrange decks trying to kill our creatures aren't going to be very relevant. The Rain of Sustenance, we're not in a racing situation, we don't need to worry about that. Having the Warbriar's Blessing to kill Elvish Mystics and Llanowar Royal Elves is super important, and we just want to work out what else we want to cut here. I might bring in the Boseiju, just because they can have some interesting card board pieces, but I am so paranoid every time about getting drawing into multiples of them. And so in terms of like what else we want to cut, obviously we're at 63 cards here. The Ghost form isn't really up to much, because our opponent's not really killing our creatures. We still want the Hammer Hand to be able to give things haste. And then past that, let's see. Cartouche, we're not as worried about going wide, so we can cut a copy of this here. And then I think we actually do want 4 copies of All the Glitters, just to get as much power as possible. I don't know Vanguard. I don't really love cutting creatures because we're not like super low. But I believe that this is... We're just going to cut another Cartouche Solidarity. We'll work with this. Audacity is pretty important just because giving us trample to get through their like big blockers. We can assemble a lot of power between Ethereal Armor and All the Glitters. It's just a case of being able to push that power through for actual damage. Alright. Audacity gets a little worse here. Thanks to Skrelv. This is a really awkward hand. 6 creatures is not what we want anyway, but obviously 1 land here. And we'd have to play either the Venuses or the Skrelvs, and then we don't have any enchantments for like Portal Genesis. It's a pretty easy mulligan. into no lands, into 5-card hand with no creatures. Oh, we do have another Nano Vanguard. Okay, so keep this. I'm going to put the Branch Pathway on the bottom, keeping the Mana Confluence, which could pain us a little bit, but means if we do draw any of our off-color spells and keep them, we then need to still get rid of more cards. I think this is the keep. Yeah, all of this is just slow. Alright. It's an okay 5, but obviously it's slower than we'd like. And our opponent will have that Elvish Mystic start. Go ahead. Steel Leaf Champion. Interesting. It's been a little while since I've seen this variant. SRAM here. Let's shot the Temple Guard and just make the Vanguard. Like, this isn't the best matchup for SRAM, just because we're not, like, super worried about having to draw a bunch of cards. Our opponent isn't killing our stuff, but still nice to have. Ooh, a Cavalier. They have the Nykthos as well. They've come back up the gates pretty fast, but no Cura and no Khan yet, which was make us feel a little bit better. They have access to a lot of mana next turn, though. The champion does put a ton of pressure on as well. It's interesting with the mono green variants. Okay, we hit a land. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd really like to have a way to give. It's tough. We're taking so much damage back if we play the SRAM out. That's a consideration here. We can go with Asty Ethereal Armor, but we're kind of just on the way to lose the game if we do that. It means we can block Steel Leaf Champion, but obviously going to cast new spells. I think we have to go cast SRAM and an Aura. At which point, let's put Scary. Do you get to block anything with SRAM if we do this around? What do this? Well, our lifestyle was in a bit of danger. We don't have good attacks here. Yeah, this hand is a bit slow. They've had a fairly quick start. Storm the Festival. Alright, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy. Come on, 2 forests to play. Oh, they're playing Level Beast with Steel Leaf Champion. Interesting. Alright. There's the Nykthos on tap. That does let them just flash it back. Okay. I'm going to go for a new one instead, keep as much mana as possible. They do obviously still have the Elvish Mystic untapped and a forest flying around. Nissa is going to amplify that mana a little bit. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 they can get now. And of course it untaps the Nykthos. So, hey. This is the mono green machine. Up to 12. Let's go flashing back, fishing. Now I'm like, ooh, having one lifelink effect in the deck would be nice, but we're not gonna wait the 2 for it anyway. There is a Khan too. We've got 3 mana left. Silex is like an annoying card for us to deal with. I imagine they're gonna go pick that up and play it, but we'll get a turn before they can untap it. We've already used Cura. Seven. It's not quite got enough for the big worm. Things are looking pretty bad. Let's be honest. I don't know what our best draw is. Our best draw is like Ethereal Armor into draw Ethereal Armor into draw Ethereal Armor into... Yeah. I don't actually think that gets us there. Target SRAM. Yeah, cool. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna... Oh, no. We'll let them go to combat. These are gonna hit us. So no blocks go to 2. But, yeah. Game over, man. Game over. Alright, let's go to game 3. We get to be on the play. Hopefully we have some 7 and 6 card hands with lands. That we're hoping. Anything I want to change to the sideboard, I'm fine with the ghost form, that's fine. The Arena Sustenance, I'm still fine cutting, I think that's still correct. This is all good, I think. There's only creatures entering the battlefield. I think this is... Okay. Yeah. Beside you for Khan Silex is one of the reasons we're bringing in the extra Beside you as well. We would definitely like to play. Why do we not hit lands? What is going on here? Help. Send help, please. We keep 5, so what do we got? We've got Light Pause. I'm gonna put one of the lands away. I'm just gonna keep these ones now. We're putting down Audacity or Generous Visitor. Let's keep the Visitor. Alright, we'll try this. Gonna need all the luck we can have. Yeah, 5 is rough, you know? Mulligans and things. It's usually not necessarily what we're looking to draw, but I'm fine offering the trade here. Because we're relying on light pulls for pretty much anything anyway, anything we can get to slow them down is important. Yes, please. Alright. We'll make light pulls. Stone Rain successful. Alright, they have a pretty slow hand anyway. Portable Hole, we will get rid of the Planowar Elf. And then we're going to Audacity here. There's a couple of different options. The best thing to do essentially is just to grab the Ethereal Armor now. One of the other options is to grab Cartouche, so you make another creature. I'm not too worried about that. I think I just want the damage. We're just going to grab Ethereal Armor. I'm going to keep hold of the Besage for now as well. Because we could maybe use it if necessary. Steel Leaf Champion. Fortunately, it doesn't block anything right now. We can also fight it down. Which we should do, because that also lets us pick up an All That Glitters. We will go ahead and fight the champion. We will search. Grab a copy of All That Glitters. Put our opponent down to 1. They're going to scoop it up. And that is Auras. Alright, I'll play one more rant game. And then we'll see how much time's left. See you in the next one. Alright, back with match 2. Had a pretty nice match versus Mono Green. Managed to win despite some pretty bad mulligans. The deck does play well off of low resources if your opponent's not got interaction for you. There's definitely something going in its favour. And again, one of the reasons it can beat up on decks like Mono Green. Lands and spells is good. Have the mana confluence actually to cast a time in my hand, so you're absolutely fine keeping up with this. See what our opponent's on here. Ooh, Xander's Lounge implies some kind of fire stack, but we don't know exactly what yet. It could also be something like Grixis Control, or just like some kind of full color deck. Or even Grixis Midrange. Ooh, Go for the Throat is interesting. Yeah, it looks to be Grixis Midrange, maybe with Nicobolus. Or something like... We're gonna play the 2 creatures out here rather than deploy the Shram. But rather make sure we get a draw trigger off the Shram when we play it. Where possible. And then if we get to untap with Skrelv, obviously we can protect it. Ooh, Grixis Proxy. That is pretty hype. So they have 1 mana left. So we want to enchant the Generous Visitor, not Shram. We don't have the extra card. Which is, I think, fair enough. So let's start with Audacity on Generous Visitor here. We'll put the counter on itself. The one thing about Skrelv, right, is that Heartless Act is a card. And so having a counter on Skrelv is actually kinda cool. We're gonna Sentinelize Skrelv here. We'll put the counter on... I feel like I should put on the visitor. I think given they played Go Through already, it's unlike they're playing like all like one axis. But yeah, here you can see the nice interaction between Skrelv and Sentinel's Eyes. We can attack with the Skrelv and then still use it up to protect. Putting quite a bit of pressure on here. Alright, Stormcarved Coast. What do we have? Sheoldred. Okay. Well, let's see what we draw here. New Skrelv isn't up to a ton. They're on 11. If we Hammer Hand, what does that do? Hammer Hand stops the Sheoldred blocking. Gives us 1, 2 more power. Puts them to 1, they then get to draw. I love it. But I also don't want to tap Skrelv to let us attack through. So I do think that this is the right play. No, we can't make a new one then. I was in the graveyard? No, we don't have the mana. I was gonna say, if we can make the new one, Hammer Hand it, and then recast the Sentinel's Eyes, that'd be some wild, like, huge brain play, but I don't think that's what we're up to. Doesn't quite work. We need another land. In which case we'll be able to make Skrelv into it. Alright, we're gonna put them down to 1. See how this plays out. Oh, down to 2, sorry. Oh god, they're 11, not 10. So they draw up to 4. Then go for the throat. We have to activate. We'll may as well pay the mana. For black. Okay, I don't have a response, so they've got something else. They have a search to see the truth. Alright, that's going to be GG. Alright, cool. Nice. Into game 2. So sideboarding here is going to be a bit more tricky. The See the Truth tells us we're probably playing against Arcane Proxy, and then just the Grixis variant of that. These Adana Vanguards are going to be pretty nice. I'm not that worried about recipes, because I don't want to worry too much about their graveyard shenanigans. I think recipes really is something like Greasefang, where it's like a combo-based attack. If they're like proxying to draw 3 cards and See the Truth, then we've probably already lost the game. So I hit Extraction Specialists. I'm not worried about Beseiju, and I'm not that worried about Warbriar's Blessing. Despite there being like things like Sheoldred to deal with. On the other side of that, we again are not too worried about this Arena Sustenance. I do kind of like leaving it in versus Sheoldred just in case you do find yourself under pressure on life total. But hey, not going to be a huge deal. The cartouches are pretty nice. They're to try and kill your creatures. The cards like Sham are a little bit. It's like, excuse me. What do we want to take out? Warbriar's Blessing versus Shoulder is pretty bad anyway. It's not like we're going to be fighting off the proxies. I think this is fine. I think cutting the rune of Lifelink is also okay. All that glitters is a bit clunky at 3. Sorry, at 2 mana. And do you cut another one of those, or we just trim something else here? Sentinel's Eyes. Audacity's important because we get the card draw. I think honestly cutting down on all the glitters is the way to go. This is a matchup where Ghost Form and Hammer Hand are actually quite important. Getting the hasty creatures in, and also being able to tutor up that Ghost Form to give your Light Paw some survivability versus kill spells is going to be really nice. Alright. Ooh, this protects from exile as well, right? Yeah, so it's really nice with the Vanguard. Alright, we'll keep this. We have the Skrelv again as well, and again, the Skrelv is basically like a much stanza creature for them. We have to deal with it. We will shout out for the Temple Garden, but we'll hold off playing this Mana Confluence for a little bit. If we can help it. Imagine this will get... Oh, Rain for the Fieldman, okay. Fair. Then that on that, and then it on Adano Vanguard. Pull planes out. Go ahead and do this. Yeah, the -X versus would-be indestructible creatures is pretty tough. Oh no! Oh, well, this is a beating. 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 This Yeah. Alright, that's our last creature threat currently. Hopefully we draw into one here, but in a bit of a tricky situation. Oh yeah. This is the power of proxy. Generous Visitor is not a bad one to draw. We do want to protect it. We'll Visitor. Oh my gosh. I meant to put this Mana Confluence. We'll Cartouche here. Still. They've only actually played one real removal spell. Ah, that's a bit of a punt. I had to put a Confluence so we could Ghost Form with the Generous Visitor. It's not what we want to do with the Ghost Form, but at this point, it's our last creature threat. Let's see what they got going on. Yeah, they just got a Fatal Push. There. We are left with our token, but hey. Thoughtseize sees the Mana Confluence to the Ghost Form. They're going to be like, oh, that looks silly. But, yeah. Will not block. 2 cards left in hand for them. Drawing land here is exactly what we want. We're not going to start suiting up the token just yet. We'll grab Gigantha to play next turn, and we'll play Razor Edge, stick it out. Big Sheoldred, solid. No blocks here. That is rough. Now you play at the Mana Confluence. We'll cast Gigantha. We're on 11 with Sheoldred in play, but we have some spells left in our hand. At least. Do have a clean answer. They do have a go for the threat with Gigantha. They'll be able to attack us for 6 here. Is this a turn we block? So I don't think we're going to block with... Alright, one more turn on my blocks. They're not attacking with the Storm Giant yet. Gives us a couple of turns with Sheoldred in play. Okay. So then, let's see. One, two, three, four. I'm just gonna put these on here. We've got to trade them off for Sheoldred. It's called Vigilance. Alright. Well. Yeah, pretty sloppy game from us. See the Truth here, might find them another removal spell anyway. Yeah, it looks like they've got one. Yeah, there's a Fatal Push. That'll seal it. Not the best game from us there. But I guess that mistake on the last turn didn't really make a big difference. Think about the sideboarding again. I don't think we want the Warwire's Blessing. It's a bit too clunky. Again, all the glitters there, not up to a ton. So Arcane Proxy is a cast trigger. But, well, sorry. It triggers when it's cast, but it isn't enter the battlefield trigger. Maybe we bring in Hushbringer there. Still pretty narrow. I think I'd rather just have the threats that we have in our deck already. Yeah. Let's roll back up with this. Yeah, it's a tricky one. I missequenced pretty poorly that game too. I'll play first. One lander. We'll send it away. Oh dear. These are the matchups which are pretty tough, where your opponent's playing a pile or removal. Because like this hand, for example, would be fine with something like mono green. However, here they're just going to have a removal spell for the Generous Visitor. I'm going to be in tatters. That being said, well, this is the Hammer hand is already a bit like a Malta 6. I just don't think this hand is beating Grixis. Let's mulligan. Alright, we'll keep. We'll put Sentinel's Eyes on the bottom. And a copy of Ethereal Armor. Let's do this. They did have some good answers. But hopefully double Vanguard will be good enough. We'll see, we'll see. Would like to draw a land and also another aura for Light Pause. Oh, we also have seen their filthies. Oh no. Alright, Ray of Enfeeblement here is interesting. Again, they're kind of setting up for a proxy turn. We don't really have a choice to play into it, so we're going to Light Pause. We'll Ethereal Armor here, which will make it a 3-3, and then we will search. So it becomes a 3-3 now. If Feeble is -4/-4. We have an enchantment that gives +1/+1, and then maybe also... Maybe we just take the Hammer Hand. It's that or Cartouche, right? I think. Or the Ghost Form is probably the safest thing. This is why it's in the deck, to be fair. There is the proxy. We didn't hit an aura for it. That is actually brutal. Okay. The thing is, if we go for a Hammer Hand, it's just a 5/5, but then if they have like a go for the throat, it's just the game over. This way we at least keep cut around. I'm holding the Release Vouch Thicket because at least represents that we have something. Rather than reveal the land out. Maskifity. Okay. Yeah, tough decisions. Like, if they just don't have like a go for the throat or any other removal spell, then getting the Hammer Hand, turning the Light Pause into a 5/5 and then attacking straight away is the play, but it feels like Ghost Form's like why you play it. If we drew any enchantment instead of this Razor Vouch Ticket, we'd have been off to the races. But yeah, how it goes. Now our opponent is tanking about what land to play. No, we don't emote at people. I don't emote at people. The game is basically over. Come on, just pass. Alright. We drew Light Pause, but I don't necessarily... So if we play it without anything, we can just remove it. Let's do this. We want to play Light Pause with a enchantment. They just passed back, which admittedly isn't a great sign for us. But we kind of are forced into trying this. Alright, Prismari command. Fair enough. At least the Sentinel's Eyes is something we can get back from the graveyard later. It's not a huge loss. And Nicobola's Dragon Lord is pretty good. We're just never going to cast a Giganta if they've got Nicobola's in play. Kudos to our opponent here.
You have no weakness I cannot exploit.
I love the... Oh no. SRAM versus Sheldred, the ultimate battle. This could just minus to destroy it though as well, which is the problem. And by Shot to Blood Crypt, they also have a Fatal Push. So I think this is lights out, team. Opponent in the tank again. Come on, come on. Alright. I'm gonna save myself some brain time, as you can see. Alright, cool. Let's play one more match, and then we'll call it. Alright, here in match 3. We've seen kind of two polar opposite matches before. We saw Mono Green, we don't have interaction, and we can kind of thrive. And we also saw Grixis Proxy, where we ran into some problems, you know? They just have a lot of removal, and because we don't have, like, Glade Cover Scout, the actual hexproof cards, the deck does struggle a little bit there. A one-lander, but with castable spells. We are gonna mulligan this, though. We'll keep this. Skrelv's a nice start. Double Skrelv is a little awkward. We would like to draw another creature. But not to the point where I'll put a Skrelv on the bottom, I think, just in case they are playing something more removal heavy. One nice thing is that this deck functions really well off of 2 lands. Ooh, Leyline of Combustion. Oh dear. Alright, well. We'll see, we'll see. I've seen a couple of different, like, mono-red style devotion decks. This is kind of nice. We're going to light pause here. We're going to have Skrelv up to protect it. It might cost us some life, but we will do that. The important thing here really is if we draw another 1-mana enchantment, because if we do... Okay, we've got Burning Chemistry, and we're getting stomped off the back of this. No, okay. Oh, we drew a Cartouche, but we don't have a green source. We don't have two white sources. What we will do though, because we already have the double ethereal armor. We'll Cartouche up. Take the opportunity to search. So there's a couple of different opportunities here. The main one is like, hey, we grab another ethereal armor, we get to kind of pop off. And that's, I think, the plan. Again, we'll excuse me. Keep Skrelv around to protect stuff. Just in case they do have like a... I don't know. There's no roast in the format, I guess. Just in case. I'm also not afraid of blocking. So the ley line's an interesting one, so I should actually hover this to show what it does. But when you become... Oh gosh. Or at least one permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability opponent controls, it deals 2 damage to that player. Chain Lawler is pretty big. We're gonna... Yeah, I guess hold this. But the nice thing here is I imagine they're playing a bunch of... Well, they're playing some number of copies of Nykthos, then using the Burning Tree, Chain Whirler, Leyline, pairing out something like Fanatic Amogus to deal a bunch of damage. Genesis is actually not a bad draw. They're on 13. We'll armor here. We'll count on the light boards because we're going to tutor up a Audacity, and that should be game. Or close enough to it. Yeah, they go down to 2. Should be all good here. And this is an interesting one because we had the Skrelv. We could play a light pause without needing to worry about like getting stomped or lightning strikes or any other kind of removal spell. I don't think they have anything. We'll armor again. Alright, cool. Let's go to game 2. It is a matchup that can be a little tough. So we want these Hushbringers, given what they're doing with the devotion stuff. The Adano Vanguards are pretty bad. Portable Hole's tricky. They don't have great like 1s and 2s. And also we're going to trigger Leyline Combustion. We want the Arena Sustenance. We want the Warbler Bressing. Do we want the Portable Holes? I think we want these Extraction Specialists. Obviously you have Lifelink, but you're bringing back pretty important cards as well. And then in terms of what we can cut, I'm undecided on these Portable Holes, so I'm going to put them in for now. Let's have a look at what we want to remove. So Ghost Form Hammer and Hammerhand are a little bit cute here. I think we want to keep the Ghost Form because being able to get it with the first with Light Pause. If we're untapping with Light Pause already, it's probably good to go. I think we're fine to actually just cut these. Audacity, drawing cards, like, is super important to have in the deck, so obviously we get that trample in there, but is a little awkward. all that glitters. We can trim a couple of copies. It's quite expensive. We do want to cut down on our creatures a little bit. I'm just trying to work out where we want to do that. It might be Generous Visitors a bit weak here. Skrelv was obviously super powerful. I think cutting down to 2 Generous Visitors is right. We do have Hushbringers, Lightpaws, Shram, and Extraction Specialist. I think I might cut down a Shram, so we're not clunking up at 2 and 3 too hard. Yeah, I think that looks good. We have, I'm not going to bring in the Besage you for like Leyline. I think that's totally fine. We don't want to spend time doing that. We'll queue up with this. Alright, we're on the draw this game, so it's going to be pretty rough regardless. But, hey. Again with the double Skrelv hand, we have some game and stuff. We don't mind cartouching up a Skrelv if need be. And it should be pretty much a kill on sight card for them anyway. We'll keep this. If we do get to untap with one and like suit one up, then hey, that is cool. Proton on Mulligan. We'll call the Leyline Combustion the Mulligan to 5 because it's this card that's not going to kill one of our creatures. I'm just going to go ahead and make Skrelv now. No Burning Tree. Alright. Where do I land with this? Let's go try Cartouche here. That's going off without a hitch. I don't... So I'm a Temple Garden here. I mean, if we Audacity onto it and then they kill it on like kill it later, then we're still at least drawing a card. Alright. Deal. We'll see how this works out. Oh yeah, we got our Poisoning. There's a Chain Whirler. That'll take care of the token. And then from our side now, we have some options. I think I would rather all his glitters and don't accidentally misclick Chain Whirler. My mouse has been a bit weird recently, actually. Yeah, because we got to just untap and just start setting this up, and they don't have that much removal, and this version of the red deck, then, yeah, here we are. Oh, I guess the other thing is that you, in this kind of Devotion style deck, you play Torbrand with Chain Whirler, so you can do, like, 3 damage with it as well. Ooh, Battalion. But, yeah. Let's... So these are 5s. This doesn't actually catch anything. We'll chant here, fight the Chain Whirler. They can block 6. Which is still enough. And there you go. Well, that has been Green-White Auras. Selesnya Auras. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please drop a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Planning a bunch of constructor content with Shadows Instead dropping on the 21st, which is 4 days away now. If you're interested in those cards and stuff, I do have set reviews that I'm posting over this weekend. There'll be one for red coming out today. One for black coming out today. We've already done white and blue. Red, green coming along with all the stuff. You want to check that out. But yeah, thanks for watching. Peace out.